I love it. So,
I love it. We are good. We are
okay, we're good
good.
to go.
Yes.
Okay. All righty. And it's Tammin Sursok.
Like salmon like salmon. Yes.
Okay. Everyone, we are here with director Traci Hays and actor Tammin Sursok, and they have a new movie out that's available right now on TV called Blood, Sweat, and Cheer. How are you, ladies?
We are better now because the start of this interview was a bit of a show.
It didn't. It was amazing.
This is going to
Yeah,
be the funnest interview you've ever done. So just wait.
it already is.
You're like,
Um,
it pretty is. No one else starts interviews like this.
so talk to me about Blood, Sweat, and Cheer. What is it? Tracy,
What is it?
can you give me a
Well,
summation?
it's yes, it is ridiculously campy, dark, fun thriller inspired by real events about a woman who goes back to high school as an adult, impersonates her daughter with the desire to join a cheer team and relive her youth. It's something that she didn't get to do when she was younger, because she had to have she dropped out of high school to have her daughter. And so it's just this really crazy ride about this woman sort of coming to terms with herself and her dream that she never got to fulfill. So
Yeah.
So
yeah.
how did you come in contact with Barbara Zagrodnik's script? How did you get in touch, like get a hold of that and go like, oh my God.
It's part of the story. It's funny. I don't know how much I've shared this in terms of how I ended up with the script, but it is quite fun how the breadcrumbs aligned with getting that on my doorstep. I actually had a general meeting back in February with some ladies over at Mar Vista that work in development, and we had a great call. I was just talking about this movie I was excited about. It happened to be about a soccer player, and like, oh my God, you play soccer? And I'm like, it's been a while, and I'm out of shape. I played in high school. But long story short is I started playing soccer every weekend, with a couple of the women that are in development Mar Vista, and they thought of me when this project came up on their desk, and they just sent me the script and they recommended me for to direct the movie. It was as simple as that. So the script was already written. I read it and I was like blown away because I had actually worked with Barbara, the writer, before a couple years ago. So it was kind of it was nice because I didn't know that many people on the project, obviously at the time. But yeah, so it was this really roller coaster getting to that point. But yeah,
Man, like a
yeah.
circuitous route to what should have been all along.
Yeah,
Um,
just the moral of the story is just play soccer.
Yeah.
soccer
Yeah,
is networking.
yeah.
Tammin, what about you? How did you get the script and what made you totally just say yes to this?
Well, it was delivered to my inbox and I needed to work. Just kidding. It
Well,
was delivered.
that's
It
the
was delivered
shit.
to my inbox. That was true. I always get like so flattered when somebody has seen my work or I get offered movies and based on Pretty Little Liars. That happens a lot, but many times and oftentimes when you get those scripts, they're not very good. And I'm not saying I'm not putting myself down, but like when you don't have to audition, you're like, okay, let's exactly see what this is.
Mhm.
And from the minute I read it, I was hooked. I love movies like Jawbreaker and Election, all those
Yes,
that
Jawbreaker.
was like my era. But then again, you don't know who's directing it and if they see the vision the same way that you see, the vision. I am a mom of two. I know I don't look like it. I'm fooling you. But I have a 9-year-old and I have a 4-year-old. I know. I had them when I was 13. No, I had them when I was in my 20s. And I do have that like I feel like I'm losing them, especially like my 9-year-old. I feel like she's starting to push me away. That's just for our own survival biologically. That's just what happens. They have to get away from their parents. And there's an element of this that this character Renee feels very invisible, doesn't feel seen, and her daughter is pushing her away. And so those nuggets I could definitely, expand on. Obviously, I'm not a psycho killer. Well, my husband might think differently, but I don't think I'm a psycho killer.
Or at
But
least
I
she
can
wouldn't
at
tell
least
us.
start. I can at least expand from that. And there has to be some reality in any character that I take on. And the reality was feeling invisible, getting older, and losing my daughter. So that to me, I related to. And then I was like, yeah, I'd love to be part of this, you know?
But your character decides to take it a few steps further.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a
And
few.
depending if I'm like PMSing, that could happen to me. Like you just don't know how far you could take it in your life. No, but again, for all most films and TV shows that are really entertaining, you have to like push it. And I love that. That's where I get to play because I don't, in real life it's pretty normal. So it's really exciting that I get to do that in my professional life.
Yeah, you kind of got to do the normal stuff in real
Yeah.
life. But, you know, so
Gotta pick up those
either
kids.
with either of you, is there a time in your life that you would love to go back to and relive?
This day when I like started this interview.
We could just reenact it.
Yeah, we could just
Every-
like, oh my goodness, there's a picture that is not supposed to be on camera. I definitely think, I was a child actor, and I started at 13. I was professionally on TV, and I want to relive those moments because I think I appreciated them, but it was my first audition and it was in a big TV show. Chris Hemsworth was on that show in Australia. And I kind of thought that the world ran like that. It was like, I asked my therapist, I was like, am I a sociopath? She's like, no, you're just entitled. And I was like, okay, good. Because that's what happens. Like when you're 13 and you're 14, and I was like, oh, thank God. When you're 13 or 14, you get for me being a child actor, I just got a lot of yeses, and I was given a lot very young and paid well. And I don't know if I appreciated it as much as I now getting older, looking back. Like I think I would have really savored those moments, relished those moments, lived in those moments in a more present way. And that's probably what this character wanted to do too. She probably didn't ever feel like she had that high school experience in the way that she wanted it. Didn't have the high school experience really, but I would like to go back and and also give myself a hug and say like, you're doing a really good job, because I think at 14, 15, I always thought I was failing, which is so silly when you look back. You're like, this is your prime. So yeah, if I could go back, it'd probably be around, maybe not 13. I was a kid, maybe like 15, 16, 17.
If you went back there, would you be chaotic or good or chaotic good, or would you
Like, I think I was a very good, I know, surprising. I was a very good girl. Like I just never wanted to piss anyone off. And not that I would go back and want to piss people off, but I just didn't take risks. I didn't take chances. I was very afraid. I was afraid to like do the wrong thing and speak up. And as a girl in the industry, really young, like I just didn't advocate for myself. And I think I would just go back at 16, 17, 18 and just be like, it keeps getting older. Start at 13. I'm like at 18 and just try to like find myself a little more and speak up for the things that I believed in. Instead of just saying yes. Everyone said yes to me and yes to everyone. I was all very peachy keen. Like I was like, sure, yes.
Let's do all these. It's so interesting because I feel like, we're in this amazing place where we've grown so much as like women and artists and like, hitting your strides, at a certain point. I feel like being in my 30s, I'm like, oh, so this is what it really is like to be, doing what you love and making a living at it and caring less what people think about you, to Tammin's point about, and going back, I mean, I don't know that I might like, I would tell my younger self in college, I think to not care as much what people think and just be more, aware of my intuition and really taking what I at the time was listening to my gut, and I didn't always do that, and I still struggle with that at times, but it's different now because I've proven to myself and I'm not as afraid to walk through those things. I think that would have been the biggest thing is like, you don't need someone's approval, just like, you got it.
I also think the world has changed like now than it was then. I think that, there weren't women who were gatekeepers. There weren't women in positions that could support other women. So it was a very, and I love, I'm married to a guy. I love my husband. I love men, but it was such a male dominated industry. And a lot of people that made decisions were male.
Right.
And because of that, you automatically felt like your voice was, not going to be heard. And it was, not silenced, but I would say turned down. So I feel like now things are changing, that women are being given these opportunities to be in these positions, gatekeeper roles, directors, producers, executive producers. And so it does allow us to be able to, speak up and not care as much what people think, because you feel like, you've someone has your back. Like Traci and I had each other's back the whole time. And that's rare. And for me, that's very new. And it's like, I wanted her to succeed. She wanted me to succeed. And I think that's one of the reasons why the movie did well, or is a good movie, is because, when you support people, it's the benefits the entire project as a whole.
Right. And go ahead. Sorry, Traci. Please.
No, I was just agreeing.
Yeah.
That's what she does. I just tell her to agree with me and we're good.
Well, you guys have each other back. Each other's back.
Right, Traci?
Yes.
She's like, sure.
So, based on that though, like what has the response been so far from people who have seen the film?
Overwhelming. I was just blown away, frankly. I've been getting phone calls and emails and Instagram messages, and just like from strangers, complete strangers, and then people that I know. And then it's blown me up Mar Vista internally, as well as the company that produced the film. It's just been, people are emailing them, just they're so proud of the work and are blown away. And just, kind of the cult classic has been, the term has been tossed around a couple times. So I don't beyond what I was expecting. I knew we had a really exciting special piece on our hand. I didn't quite know to that extent, which was really exciting.
Well,
I had the feeling on this film, sorry to interrupt, I had the feeling on this film as I did on Pretty Little Liars. And Pretty Little Liars was only, we only got greenlit for a pilot. So we didn't know if that show was going to be a show at all, or even more episodes than the first one. But I feel like, Hannah Montana was the same thing. I feel like when you're on set, and that's probably the only thing that I know, is like after 22 years of being on set, you can always tell if something's special. And normally that translates to other people watching it.
What creates that energy? Aside from the fact that you guys were both fully engaged and supporting one another in artistic choices, and you had each other's backs, but like, what is it?
I think it's not. I think it obviously one person can be the bad apple that can ruin the whole movie. I've seen that happen before. I've been on those sets, but I think everyone, the department heads, my producers, Mara Vista as a company, like Tubi, there was so much support from the first phone call I had about my creative. I created a 75-page lookbook of what I thought the movie was going to look like, my interpretation, and they're like, this is amazing, go for it. And just having that creative support from the beginning, before day one, I'm like, oh, they're I'm like, okay, this is special. And then to be on set, and it's an energy. It's sort of like when you're choosing to work on a project, it's like, is the script good? Who's involved? Do I vibe with the energy? And a lot of times, in this particular case, I wasn't necessarily picking the people I worked with. I was brought in, and you never know, right? You're like, I hope everyone they bring in is talented and communicative and supportive. And it was, and just everybody, from the top down, like not just the actors. I'm talking about all my keys, my location manager, my producer. Like, I'm getting text messages from all my crew going like, this movie is like my favorite. I've watched it 3 times. Wow. It's just like, so that's when I was like, oh, this is like, it's a family.
Right.
I think it's the support for sure. But I also, and like Traci was saying, the bad egg, like my husband's a producer and a director, and every single person needs to be good at their job for a movie to make it to work. Like, obviously the script is the number one, then directing, then acting. but you have a bad sound guy and your sound is screwed, you're screwed. Like you can't, like you're watching a movie and we don't really think about it. I have a podcast and the sound is so important. Like if you don't have good sound, you've lost half your listeners because they're not even going to care about what you're saying if you don't have good sound. If you don't have good lighting and you can't see, you know, your subjects, people are going to turn off. There's all these little things that make the whole of the piece of the all the pieces that make up the whole of the movie. And if anything is off, it affects the film. And the thing that I thought was wonderful about this movie is every single person on the film was really talented, from makeup to hair to wardrobe, and they really cared about their job. And when people don't care about their job, or like talent is great, but when they don't care, it starts a trickle effect and it sort of starts to feed on other people. And then everyone's like, you know, pissed off that they're 20 minutes late to get food, and they're mad because, you know, they're finished 10 minutes overtime. And that starts to, I believe that the law of attraction and like attracts like, and if one person was doing that, everyone would be. So I really believe that every single person on this film really cared about making a good movie, and was really good at what they did.
Well said. Very well said.
Yeah.
So, excellent. So, what is next for you guys? Please, are you making another movie? Yes.
I wrote a treatment. I was like to Traci, I was like, here's the treatment, here's the sequel.
And it's Blood, Sweat, and Cheers, right?
In Mexico. It's blood, sweat. How do you say cheers in Mexico, like in Spanish? Blood, sweat, and chorigo. I don't know. Made that up.
Yes, where Renee goes to Tijuana.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we you know, the film, without not giving away spoilers, I will say it leaves it open-ended. And I think that that's really fun to think about where Renee goes, because you don't want to stop. She's such a complex character. Like I love that she's so flawed, but there's empathy for this kind of rogue, you know, because you leave going like, what's gonna happen? We don't know. So we would love, yes. Tammin and I walked away from that movie going, okay, we see a sequel at the very least, and then, you know, we're, you know, just looking at other scripts, and you know, I've got multiple projects in development and talking to different production companies. So like, yeah, things are in the works. I'm excited.
Excellent.
It's the only reason I've stayed freaking blonde is I have dark hair and my hair's falling out, is because I'm waiting for the freaking sequel. Look at this, Traci. This is your fault. This is your fault. This broken bit right here.
Traci, hustle. Her hair's falling out.
I know. I'm like, guys, you gotta. I know that should be my next call. Yeah, hair's falling out. We need to make the movie like ASAP.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you want to hear more of me being completely off the rails, I have a podcast called Women on Top.
Yes. Yes.
I'm breastfeeding on the cover, of course, and my co-host is drinking some champagne. So if you would like to get in on that action where we talk about everything, there's no subject. I am not going to tell you my next episode, but I'll tell you off camera. No subject is off air. We talk about everything, the things that you think but don't say. So yeah,
wonderful. And that's Women on Top.
Women on Top.
And how can anybody find you on social? Either of them.
Oh, just my first and last name. Although the spelling of it seems to be thanks parents for the the Traci with an I, Hays no E. It seems to be a common thing. No, but I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I have a website, IMDb, and try to keep up, you know, when there's exciting things to share. So
excellent. Tammin?
And I make funny content for a living when I'm not acting, as you can tell. If I'm not acting, I have I think it's, what do I have? I have TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, all under Tammin Sursok, Tammin Sursok, but it's official Tammin Sursok on TikTok because someone stole my name, and I'm like, just take it. Like, I don't care so much. And then Twitter, all those things, and make, you know, content that makes people feel less alone, makes them laugh, gives them information. So hopefully if people are feeling down, then they can come over and have a laugh.
Spectacular. Awesome. Yeah. Well, ladies, thank you so much for taking the time. to have a conversation and to talk about Blood, Sweat, and Cheer. We look forward to the sequel. But the first film, Blood, Sweat, and Cheer, is available now on Tubi,
Yes.
and we recommend you take a look. Thank you so much for your time.
It's your new favorite
Thank you,
film.
Norman.
Sorry?
He said it was his new favorite film. That's what
right.
He said it was you said it was your favorite
did.
film. You did.
Okay.
I just you're like, okay. It is now.
Quoted Borba's my new favorite film.
Yeah. You'll be cool.
Well, thank you again. You guys are really fun to talk to.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Have a good rest of your day.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take it easy.